And I remember the director coming up to me after and being like, whoa, like, that was such a powerful choice. Like, I can't believe you went for that. I was like, oh, yeah, man. I literally blacked out.
Ben Purkiss, hello and welcome to Theatre Therapy Thursdays here at West End Best Friend. How you doing, buddy, old pal?
Hello and welcome, buddy, old friend, good pal. I'm great. I'm happy. I'm excited to be here. Looking forward to the quiz round.
So, Ben Purkiss, for everyone who doesn't know who Ben Purkiss is, who's Ben Purkiss?
He's a dreamer. Who am I? I'm a bit of a secret stagey. There's one for you.
Love those. They're my favourite kind.
Actor, like to have fun. Vegan. I'm a vegan.
Oh,
vegan, team vegan. Been doing that for 9 months, which is super fun.
What's your story, Ben? When did you get into musical theatre? When did you know musical theatre was your love? Where did you train? And how was training for you?
So I'm from a town called Ashford in Kent, and I did essentially, I got into this because I was a bit mad in school, and it was like year 6, and I was all over the place. And obviously, I ADHD, didn't get diagnosed till I was 21, so I was just a bit all over the place. One of my teachers was just like, you've got this insane amount of energy, and we did this thing called Golden Time, which was like, at the end of the week on Golden Time, you'd get in pairs and you'd like present something. I got in a pair with this girl, and she just wanted to do an improv, and I was like, okay, yeah, I'll do it. I've got loads of energy, yeah, and did it. And then like my teacher told my parents, and then my parents sort of took me to an Amdram, which I kind of, again, just had a bit of a laugh, really. That's kind of all I thought it was, until youth theatre called Ashford Youth Theatre. I joined them and we did some Shakespeare's. We did Shakespeare's and we did classical texts. It was amazing, and it was really like underground and like bohemian in a way, of like, we built our own sets. We did the lighting, we did everything. Came up with some really good stuff. That kind of switched it from like, oh, okay, this is fun. However, there's a lot to it. And there's a lot more to it, and I started getting into that. And musical theatre happened I get things wrong sometimes, and I went to the wrong audition day for college. I went to the musical theatre day instead of the acting day because I didn't read the dates properly. Classic. And I kind of stood there and I was like, had my monologue, and they had this like dance class, and I was like, oh God, what's going on? And I think I was coming through, there was like no boys really, so they were really desperate for guys. So the head of the course was just like, come and I sang a scale. I sang Somewhere Over the Rainbow a couple of times, and then he was like, come to the musical theatre course. And I was like, oh, really? I don't know, like, it's not really what I do, He was like, I'll give you singing lessons. If you don't like it, we'll give you a place on the acting course, you can switch. I met a few people at the youth theatre, and I met a few people at college who showed me how to take it seriously and showed me what commitment was and what obsession was. And, me and my friend Dave, like we did Hair the Musical in our final year at college, and a best show ever. And we both grew our hair, we played Claudenberger, and we said as well when it came out, we're like, right, we're being Claudenberger. We read the script 9 times before the audition together. We had like a week of sleepovers where we'd go to the gym and then we'd go running and we'd sing the songs while we were running, like here to get like into the literally. I learned how to live it. That is one of the things I love so much about it, is living it. It becomes your life. When you're in rehearsals, it's a huge bubble and it's everything. And there's something about that I really liked. And then I fell in love with singing. I was going to go, because there was this university linked to my college, and I was going to go to this university. But classic, last minute, went, nope, I'm going to drama school. And I called Mountview, and I went, hi, can I go to your college? Can I do musical theatre at this college, can I go? They were like, well, no, submissions are closed. I was like, oh, please? And they were like, well, we have a foundation course opening up, so come and have an audition for that. And I did, got in, great. And then got into the full-time course and did that. And training, I love training, but I link it back to the ADHD thing of like, I was around a lot in first year. Oh, that's the word. Got picked up by the head of the course because I kind of had like a bunch of disciplinaries, rein it in. And I always meant that I would, but I just never could. And then, yeah, the head of my course just said, look, you should go and get a test for ADHD. You know, I'm sure, you know, they're going through that college. I'm sure they had loads of either undiagnosed or diagnosed cases. So I think she knew what she was looking for. And I got this test done. And from there, yeah, that's kind of when it was very helpful because I decided not to get medicated purely because, I mean, there's a whole kettle of fish about medicating ADHD and all that, but I felt like I'd got to that point in my life and it was so much a part of my personality that I was like, well, if like my buzzy side and my energy, like I'm like, well, if that goes, then I feel like that's a bad thing because I feel like it's what makes me me, and it's what I think it's, you know, everyone has the things that make them unique, and I think that translates to performance as well. And I think if you take that away, then there's nothing interesting, or there's less interesting. And that was kind of a worry I had. Kind of learned coping mechanisms, and that meant that for my last 2 years at college, I was kind of laser focused. I kind of was like, right, no, come on, I've got 2 years left. I do think it's a lot to do with the people that you surround yourself with as well. You know, I'm learning every day from people and the lessons that they can bring you and can teach you.
What was it like when you left Mount View, having all that structure? Kind of enforced upon you, but obviously you take that on to then therefore like enforce upon your own life. What was it like going from, I always talk about having literally the carpet pulled from underneath you.
I got very fortunate in that I got my first job at college. So Allegro was like in the last month we were, you know, and you know that end of third year where you kind of go in every now and then, but you're basically auditioning. So I kind of was doing, and our showcase was early, and we're the only year that did it. We did our showcase at Christmas. So I had my agent by January. So I was auditioning from January. So it kind of didn't like, because I did Allegro and then I had like a couple months and then I did BAT. So it was like really until BAT finished, I kind of had the structure. Yeah, I mean, I was very fortunate in that sense that it felt like the carpet was kind of taken and I was put over there, as opposed to it being pulled out and shoved out the door. I kind of felt it was a very smooth transition.
So what was it like going into something like Bat Out of Hell?
I was young, mate. And I don't mean young as in age. I mean, my mind was young. I was 22, but I had such a bright-eyed, bushy-tailed thing with Bat, and it was massive. Like some of the things, I mean, we could talk for hours about it, but some of the experiences I had with that show, I'm like, I will never have experiences like that again in my life. And I had no idea. I had no idea what was happening. Because we toured as well, because we did Manchester, London, Toronto. And because it was Toronto, 8 hours away on a plane, completely different thing. We were all in these apartments. We just it became this bubble. And we all just kind of fused together, and it became like our lives, and we lived it and we breathed it, and it was phenomenal, mate. And also like the alternating is hard, very hard, and there is a way to do it, and there is a skill in alternating a role, especially a role like that, because not only do you have the demands of being an alternate, you have the demands of singing strat. That
ridiculous vocal.
The most, I still think, in terms of a rock sing, the hardest thing I've ever seen. And I'm not saying that to flex. I'm saying that as in like...
No, categorically is. When I saw it, I was like, what is this?
It's not just high singing. It's high singing for 12 minutes. Anything for Love is an 11-minute song. Bat Out of Hell is a 9-minute song. That's like 3 times the length of your standard musical theatre song. So you're singing above the stave for most of it, and then you'll be down doing the operatic, like, Meatloaf, dark, intense stuff. And then, so, like, in terms of where you are, you're all over the place.
Vocal agility is all over the shop.
I mean, I could name so many names, but there were, like, lots of very helpful people on that job. And there had to be, because it was astronomical, mate. Astronomical. London Coliseum, West End debut. I remember that day, mate. I cried. I remember West End debut, got to it, did the whole thing, and there's a bit at the beginning where there's a mic and you're walking around just doing a pre-show, and then you jump and the lights go goo, and you go, I remember everything. And I did I remember everything, ran to the mic, and you're supposed to start the speech, and I just, like, you know, like when a computer resets?
Yeah.
I just went, I remember everything, looked up to the audience, I was like, got lightheaded, just stood there for what felt like an hour. And I genuinely think it was like a notable amount of time. I remember everything there. I remember everything like that. And I remember the director coming up to me after and being like, whoa, like, that was such a powerful choice. Like, I can't believe you went for that. I was like, oh, yeah, man. I literally blacked out. I blacked out, and people were coming up like, wow, oh my God, like, oh, what a good start. Like, what a great, strong choice. I was like, no, I just forgot how to breathe.
We were in lockdown. Obviously, lockdown's coming out of it. Second one happening potentially. Who knows? What was it like for you for lockdown? What was it like being the lead in an awesome show that was just opening to then have that taken away at the second preview and be plunged into like a nationwide lockdown?
My best friend lives in Manchester, and I was living with my best friend in his house. And when I wasn't at rehearsals, me and him were like playing badminton or like going for pizza. And like, I loved Zorro. I love present tense Zorro. And it was such a beautiful experience. And I was living in my favorite city. Manchester is the best place. My mate was texting me like, bro, West End shut, man. Like, he texted me when I come after the second preview. He was like, man, I think that might be your last show, you know? And I was like, don't tell me that. No way, man. We'll get through the week. Absolute like denial. Because obviously you don't want it. I mean, it was great. Like, you yourself know, like we had such a laugh. Me and you. Right. It was so fun. You know, I was living with my best mate, doing a show that I loved. We had 6 weeks of like amazing times coming our way. And yeah, then we got called in 12 o'clock for a meeting. And yeah, we all sat in the room and we spoke about our options. So the decision was made. The right decision was made to call it. And I was going to stay in Manchester a few days to like just try and get a little bit of it. And the next day, then there were talks about like the roads being closed. So I was just in a bit of a nothing space for a while.
Once we found out that we were in lockdown and it actually happened, how did you as an artist cope in lockdown? Did you find yourself being super artistic or being like, you know what, actually, we've got this time that we can't really do anything in. I'm just going to take some time to myself.
I mean, you know, being an actor, being an artist, the pressure is almost always somewhere. Almost always, oh, I need to get that done. There's almost always, oh, I have that song to learn. And I kind of relish being like, I could just chill here for 4 days or like a week and no pressure. I could get up at 12, no pressure. I can cook and eat what I want, no pressure. Like for a bit. I'd say maybe even a month. I was just kind of like, yeah, this is all right, actually. But only because I didn't think it'd last. And then, you know, eventually I kind of wrote off this year. This is why last week hit me so hard, because I wrote off this year in my head. I went, you know what? Creatively, job-wise, this year, gone, done, cooked. I was kind of all right with that because I was like, right, let's reevaluate. You know, it doesn't mean I'm going to stop practicing, doesn't mean I'm going to stop doing whatever, but it just means I'm going to take the pressure off, realised I had to make some money, so got a job. And that comes with its ups and its downs. I'm financially stable, which is great, but it does, you know, we live a long-houred sort of art. It's like, yes, okay, we get up, we go in, we stay there, we go home, we get up, we go in, we stay there. However, it's, you know, it's different. You know, I'm living, or at least for a while, especially Eat Out to Help Out, I was doing like 11 till 12 in a restaurant, a busy, full restaurant, and it was chaos. I love being a waiter, but it was chaos. I feel like when you're in rehearsals, you see immediate reward, don't you? Because you're exhausted, but you're like, but we smashed that scene today. I kind of got into a place of like, I was working to make money, to pay rent, and that's it. And I was just like, whoa, like I need to
get something out of something soon.
Yeah, I mean, I got creative. I wrote a play with a friend of mine, which I'm really proud of. And obviously Songsmiths is always on the back burner for me, which is the events band, the band that me and two friends are in that we do. We've got an album, so we started making that available for like digital download, and we've got things in the diary for that now. Yeah, and I'm talking like last week kind of opened my eyes. I was sad, I was mad, but then I went, you know what, I'm gonna make it happen. My hope is still here. I'm still, as soon as I can, I'm gonna be back to it. So nutshell, was sad, got stroppy, made things happen, got sad and stroppy again, currently making things happen.
Yes, lockdown. That is lockdown in a nutshell. We're going to move on to a section that I like to call How to Succeed in Quizness Without Really Trying. Are you excited?
Yeah, hit me.
So, Mr. Purkiss, I'm going to ask you 3 questions, each based on one of your past contracts. We have a Zorro question, an Allegro question, and a Bat Out of Hell question. Up until last week, no one had got 3 out of 3 until Genevieve Nicole smashed it out of the absolute park.
As she likes to do.
So, no pressure. Here we go.
Okay.
Here's your Zorro question.
Oh, God.
I will give you one either side. How many Oliviers did Zorro win?
9.
Incorrect. 1.
That's how much I believe in it. I know which one it is, though. It's the lady whose name I forget, who played Jen's part. She won, didn't she?
Yeah, Desmond Margaretta won for Best Supporting Role, because it was when musicals only had one category for Best Supporting.
I think I'd take the point for that one.
Maybe give you a 0.25, a quarter of a point.
Not like the record. Isn't that like the most ever won is 9? That's what I shot for.
2. This is a multiple choice question. I don't often do these. Here you go. Was Allegro Roger and Hammerstein's first, second, or third musical?
3rd.
Correct. Yes, it was. They did Oklahoma, then did Carousel, then did Allegro, because there was a lot of pressure on Allegro because Carousel and Oklahoma obviously smashed.
Nailed it.
Final question. To the nearest decade, how long did it take Bat the musical to get from inception to stage?
So they did the New York workshop, but when did they write it? Because I thought they wrote it before as well.
Okay, they did. I will give you that. They wrote it before.
Are we talking about from like the first ever?
From like the first moment Jim Steinman had a seed.
Yeah.
That then eventually turned into Bat Out of Hell.
Okay. 20 years.
It's 49.
49 years!
1968. He first wrote a show that was called The Dream Machine.
Yes, you're right, yeah.
Which had the seed that then turned into Bat Out of Hell. So 49 years. So there you go, smashed it, Ben Purkiss. 1.25 points.
Those were good questions.
They were hard. They were hard, to be fair.
The Bat one, yeah, like, yeah, they had Dream Machine, but there was a guy called Barry Keating who was there like for every single day of those 49 years, and he came to rehearsals. He's like Jim's right-hand guy, and he's been there through all of it. He's seen all of it.
So, Mr. Ben Purkiss, if I threw you onto a desert island and said you could only have one cast recording that you could listen to for the rest of your life whilst you're on that island, what would it be and why?
It would have to be Sunday in the Park with George.
Mm.
We did little projects at Mountain View for like a term, and one of our projects was Sunday in the Park with George, and the show that made me be like, oh my god, like it was our modern book project. I was like, this is incredible. Like you can just there's an endless amount of thought in it. It's just about life and it's about relationships, and you can relate to it in so many ways, and like you listen to it, then you listen to it the next day and there's a different thing and you're like, oh my god, I didn't notice that. My reason for choosing the Anna Lee Ashford Jake Gyllenhaal version is because, one, Jake Gyllenhaal is my favourite actor, definitively. Favourite modern actor. Then I haven't seen it. I booked tickets to it, but I've listened to the cast recording, and I think, I focus more on him because I am the world's biggest fan of him. Anna Lee Ashford is a sensational talent. Like, what an actor. So I think the combination of those two, and just I think what Jake Gyllenhaal does with a masterful art is tread the line of that like what he did in the cast recording. What I imagine he will do on stage is he doesn't make George cold. He makes George vulnerable and obsessed. You know, the whole George Dot thing, you're like, you can see the love, you can feel the vulnerability. He's not cold, disconnected, cut off. He's just obsessed, and he can't get away from this. And it's the artist's story, isn't it? You sacrifice so much for the hat. It displays that masterfully. You know why he makes all the choices that he makes. And
Agreed.
I can't wait for it to come back and pay another £200 for tickets to it.
So, Ben Purkiss, this is a question that people often hate me for asking, and I get it because it's tough. Because how does one distill a whole form down into one?
How does one distill the hat?
So, if we were to distill the hat, and I asked you to pick one song that you think is a perfect representation of what musical theatre stands for as a form, but what you think is one of the most perfect examples of musical theatre in a song.
So I'm going to give you two. Sunday from Sunday in the Park with George.
Oh, yeah.
I have a reason for giving you two. My reason for choosing that one is because firstly, vocally, chorally, it's outrageous. Like, it's outrageously layered and it's outrageously beautiful and outrageously hard to get right. But when you do, it's just a tear jerker. You're just crying. You know, George conducting his orchestra and
Painting.
Yeah, George painting and it makes this canvas of sound. And I think like there's the Proms version on YouTube. Like, whoa, that is like definitive. Like what the music.
All right. Well, we'll play it now from the 2017 Revival cast recording. Sunday.
By the blue, purple, yellow, red water, on the green, purple, yellow, red grass, let us pass through our perfect park, pausing on a Sunday.
So what's your other choice then, Mr. Purkiss, and why?
Maria from West Side Story.
Oh, another Sondheim.
Maria is a song that I'm sure many people have in their rep folder, and it's been in my rep folder for as long as I can remember, and I still can't get it right, and that's why I love it. Because I've had it in my rep for years and I've worked hard on it for long periods of time, and I'm still, you're still discovering and you're still looking at the music and being like, oh my god, that's that, and it's all there for you, and it's so difficult to sing, but it's just so, again, it's layered, it's so layered, and you're like, such a good song. And if you not get it right, but if you put a version together using the music and using everything and make your version and do it, it's so good. I can't pick a version. There's so many incredible performances of the song with so many bits in it that I'm like, I could pick this bit from that one, this bit from that one, this bit from that one. But yeah.
And I think what's wonderful about Maria is it is a perfect example of a love song, or how someone feels when they're in love. As music is therapy, and this has been like a time for, let's face it, we've needed something therapeutic to get us through. Is there any type of music that you've been going back to, any albums, be they musical theatre or not, or anything musically that you feel like really it has helped you through lockdown, or generally has helped through this weird time?
Kendrick Lamar. For the same reasons. For the same reason that I love Sunday in the Park with George. Kendrick Lamar is an artist. He is like, his albums are so loaded and there's so much in it, and you can listen, as I do every day. I listen to his stuff and it's just, you just get so much out of it, and it brings, the same song gives you 5 moods. I mean, I like stuff that you kind of like, you're studying it, you know what I mean? And I don't mean like reading the lyrics and but you're somewhere. You're somewhere when you listen to it. And I feel like I'd run to Kendrick, I'd sit and chill to Kendrick, it'd be the same song. Yeah, and I geek out on YouTube, him sitting, there's this YouTube video of him sitting in a garden for like an hour talking to this like really cool dude with like a really long grey beard, and they're just sitting in a garden with their shoes off, just talking about like drum beats. And I'm like, oh man. Cool. Yeah.
I feel that, I really feel that.
Just watching it like, whoa.
We're moving on to our final section now, which is questions. Some lovely people have written in and want to know some things. So first off, this is from Dan.
Thanks, man.
Dan would like to know, who would you most like to work with?
I mean, Jake Gyllenhaal was my gut instinct. Jenna Russell. Imagine that.
Oh, great shout.
Imagine that. I'm in the Sunday mindset. What an actor. Like, wow.
Did you see her in You're in Town?
Oh my God, You're in Town.
She was mind-blowing in You're in Town.
What show, by the way? So funny. So funny, that show.
Great show, one of my faves. Bring it back, revival! Oh, this is a tough one from Jane.
Jane, tough Jane.
What's your fave memory from Bat Out of Hell?
We spent because we were there over Christmas, and we had 2 days off, I think. A group of us went to this cabin at this place called Lake Joseph, and we rented this like outrageous wood cabin, like log cabin. Had like a hot tub over a frozen lake, and we just drove there middle of the night in a snowstorm. We were digging out the road up to the cabin with like baking trays for turkeys, like digging out the thing, running, like we were our iPhones got frozen, we had no light, like it was a whole thing, and it was amazing. And it was, I think, probably one of the best not even of my life that weekend, or those 2 days. And then we drove back at like 6 a.m. on Boxing Day, and then I had a show, and I was like dying the whole time. Literally, I think I fell asleep like while I was getting ready, like getting the hair sorted. That was probably one of the most special times of my life, those 2 days. So yeah, I'm still friends with all of them now, you know. And if I had to pick a fun, maybe not my favorite, but a fun memory from the show, was in that same moment in the speech. There seems to be loads of weird things that always happen in that moment. In Raven's birthday party, they had a bunch of pink balloons, and she has to pop one. So there's a loose balloon, and I was doing the speech where it's like you got a mic and you got a spotlight, and you're like, and this pink balloon just floated past my head, and I just watched it and kind of bent down whilst I was doing the speech to try and get it, and then some woman in the audience grabbed it and popped it, and everyone was like, "Way!" And I was just like, "What is going on?" That was brilliant. That was a fun Bat moment.
Oh God, audience members, hilarity. George wants to. Oh, George, convenient. Wants to know, what's your dream role and show?
I mean, George is one of them.
George, it's George.
That is. It feels like one of the most unobtainable roles in ever, because, you know, Jake Gyllenhaal. But if I had to pick one, I mean, I probably just because it's in my mind, but that role, I'm like, could you imagine? Like, could you imagine?
And finally, Mark wants to know, what was it like being Zorro? Which is a question that I want to know. What is it like being like a super Cake Crusade superhero dude?
I mean, awesome. Like, it just turns out I love sword fighting more than anything. It was just like, we did it. And like, I'd never done it, but like, kind of as a kid, I used to like be really into like knights and like fighting in the back garden with sticks and like that kind of thing. I'm quite into like sort of fantasy genre, so like your Game of Thrones, all that kind of stuff of like the medieval sword fighting. So I kind of like had an idea. I was like, you know, I've seen it. I can kind of mimic the style a bit. Did it in the audition, went well, and then we got into it in rehearsals, like, and that fight, there's a final fight section, which obviously you know, but like it's like a 5-6 minute fight between Zorro and Ramon. We had Rennie Krupinski come and choreograph it for us, fight direct it for us, and he come up with like some of the cool. I had like, there's a moment where I have two swords and I'm like throwing them around me like this, and it's like the coolest, most fun thing to do ever. And obviously, you know, you have license to just be Zorro. In the musical version, he has a couple of different characters that he plays, and they're all like out of this world and just live every fantasy in various different ways. So yeah, amazing. And I got to set a sword on fire. So I mean, tell your friends about that one, guys.
Because when it comes back, I'll be setting those swords on fire.
I'll be setting the world on fire, mate.
Yes, mate. On that note, Ben Purkiss, thank you so much, you absolute legend. This has been a dream, and I cannot wait to see you back on stage wielding a fiery sword.
Hey, fiery sword, baby.
Fiery sword, 2K21. Take care, mate. Be safe and be happy.